What is Cheon? We talk about it a lot in our movement. We are trying to build Cheon substantially with land, people, and sovereignty. But where did it come from, and what does it mean? Well, in 2003, shortly after the term Cheon was first introduced, Father explained it as such. What is the meaning of Cheon? Two persons become one. Up and down, left and right, front and back. Every dimension of the pair relationship is united as one. That is the kingdom of God on earth. Centering on the blessed family, we can build the kingdom of God. So, what your father in this quote was saying was that Chanuguk begins with the unity of two people. That unity becomes one. And this is very similar to a teaching Jesus taught in the Gospel of Luke, where he said, Neither shall they say, Lo here or lo there, for behold, the kingdom of God is within you. So, in other words, Chanuguk begins with you. In America, we have a saying called Peace Starts With Me in our movement. Well, Chanuguk also starts with me, but not just myself, but also with my future couple. It's going to start there for me. That's where the kingdom of God starts. That's where Cheon starts. And that's very insightful, in my opinion, because it means Cheon doesn't begin as some nation state where we buy a plot of land and we somehow get that government to secede, allow us to secede and have our own sovereignty and all of that jazz. It's not like that. It originates from within our original heart, our original mind, that im irresistible impulse to seek joy through love. And this irresistible impulse to seek joy through love is very important because when we study the principle of creation, we know that in order to fulfill our irresistible impulse, we need to do it through three great blessings: to mature ourselves, to unite with God, perfect our unity with God, to multiply, to express this unity within a couple and within the society. Now, this second blessing in particular is very important in order to achieve Chanoguk, because in the way of unification, section 5, Shufala explained that mothers and fathers cannot achieve unity without children. And he goes on to say, why do we prefer love? We can't help it. The mutual love of parents together is much stronger than their love individually. It's the rope of love that binds fathers and mothers into one, mothers and fathers into one. So Chanoguk doesn't just begin when a couple unites together, when two become one, but it's when that unity creates children. Because otherwise, without children, that unity can't be achieved. So in my case, well, I have a long way to go before I achieve Chanoguk in my own life because I have to get blessed, number one. And then number two, I have to have my own children. And not just physical children, but my own spiritual children. And that's very important because I myself am called by true parents, especially true mother in this age, to be a tribal Messiah, a Messiah to my community, a true parent to my wider society, to wherever I live, my town, whatever company I work for, or whatever school my kids go to. And that's how I create Chanoguk. Now, for true parents, for Father and Mother Moon, we know that they're not just true parents. They're true parents with a capital T and capital P. They're true parents of heaven. They're true parents of earth. And they're true parents of all humankind. That is huge because what are true parents trying to do? They're trying to create the kingdom of heaven, not just within themselves, not just within their family, not just wherever they live or their nation. No, they're trying to create the kingdom of heaven in the entire world. That's true parents' heart. They want to create Chanoguk throughout all of heaven, earth, and humankind. And to do that, they need to become true parents of heaven, earth, and humankind. And in order to do that, they need to be the first human being in all of history, in all of human history, to achieve Chanoguk. to achieve the kingdom of God within their own heart, within the unity of their own couple, just as Jesus taught 2,000 years ago. And that's why it's ever more tragic that Jesus was sent to the cross by his own people and by the Romans, because he couldn't fulfill his dream to establish the kingdom of God on earth through finding the only begotten daughter and forming a blessed family and creating blessed children, creating a blessed tribe, people, nation, and finally a blessed world of Chunoguk, where two are one, where we're completely united with God as our parent. That is the tragedy of Jesus' crucifixion. And up until now, before true parents, the highest level of teaching of morality was centered on individual salvation. Now that's huge, but it's not the end. It's not the end result that God is seeking. God is seeking Chanoguk to become one in love. And oftentimes, as myself, a second generation blessed child, I looked at you parents, kind of like grandparents. That's why mother insists that we call her Wang Oma, and I really love that title. And as a person living in this era of our movement, sometimes I think that Chu parents were automatically perfect. They automatically achieved Chanoguk. But what do we know about the principle of creation? What does Mother always talk about? Mother always talks about a growing period, and it requires individual portion of responsibility to mature our character, to emulate God's divine image. And for true parents, what was their hope? Their hope was to achieve Chanoguk in 1960 in the holy marriage supper of the Lamb. And this is exactly what the book of Revelation talks about. Because after Satan's finally defeated, what does the apostle John see? John sees a new heaven and a new earth, and he sees the holy city, which we know to be the only begotten daughter, according to Mother's memoir. And we also see God dwelling directly with humanity. The kingdom of God, Chanoguk. That is to happen at the outset of the holy marriage wedding. But what has Mother been saying consistently? She's been consistently saying that we cannot say the providence was carried out perfectly. It was a wilderness course. The 53 years of true parents' physical marriage was not perfect. It was a wilderness course. Now, there's a theological explanation, but then there's a more important artistic answer as it relates to how do we become mature children to our mature true parents. We know that true parents' holy wedding appeared at the top of the growth stage, where Adam and Eve fell, when we look at the principle of creation. And we know that from there, Father and Mother Moon had to traverse not just the rest of the growth stage, but the completion stage to the perfection stage, to where Chanoguk is. And oftentimes, I feel the need to accuse true parents. Oh, why did this and this happen? Or why are people saying this and this? Or why wasn't the providence carried out perfectly? I find myself saying that, but then I remember, wait a minute, perfection doesn't just happen like that. Even for our true parents, it takes time. And Mother's been giving us a lot of insights onto why that may have been. Chiefly that the holy wedding was done without a Christian foundation. They were doing it in a shabby place, right in the midst of the rumors about father swelling across Korea and father having to be dragged into an interrogation session the night before the wedding, and mother having to determine that she will be the bride of the second advent. She will fulfill her mission, her calling as the only begotten daughter. And there was no one supporting them. No one. And that's a huge lament for mother because she wants to fulfill not only Jesus' dream, but God's dream. And that was a huge block. There were a lot of accusations from Christianity. But on the other hand, mother's been pointing out that her own identity, her only identity as the only begotten daughter was not fully understood. And that was also a block. But despite all that, what happened? Mother clearly said, Father's thoughts have become my thoughts, and my thoughts his. And in 2013, January 13th, going to the heavenly calendar or the lunar calendar, I can't tell which one still. I have to work on that. Mother declared Foundation Day, the Foundation Day of Cheon, meaning that Cheon was achieved by their couple. And that's a huge victory. If I were in person, I would be prompting you all to give a huge thunderous round of applause because for the first time in human history, a couple has achieved Cheon to become one, centered on love. But it's very easy as immature children, and I fall into this trap a lot. I'm not saying that I'm some, mature child that I'm all up here and I'm like, ooh, model me. It's like, no, 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 no. But what I have observed in my own life and what I've observed happening in the church communities that I'm a part of is that sometimes we look at the difficulties or we look at the imperfections as Mother said, the providence was not carried out perfectly. It was a wilderness course. There were things that Mother wished had not happened, and it's very easy to look at those things and to blame, to divide, and to take sides. When a big part of growing up, I've realized as a 21-year-old adolescent, is that I have to acknowledge that my parents are not perfect. As a little kid, I think my parents are perfect. They have all the answers, even if I don't like it when they say, go to your room or clean the dishes. But when I entered teen years and adolescence, I began to see that they were not perfect. But as an immature adolescent, sometimes I would use that to accuse my parents, to argue with them, to be pretty unfilial at times. I had a little rebellious phase as a teenager. And at a certain point, I need to grow out of it. And I've been growing out of it ever since I graduated high school. I hope that I'm almost grown out of it by now. But there are times where I think to myself, like, why are they giving me this advice? Like, they're not perfect, da 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 da. And in extreme scenarios, especially when there is a household where the parents are really fighting, whether verbally or even physically, and there's a pending divorce or the parents are already divorced already, sometimes the parents, as very imperfect parents, similar to what the Archangel Lucifer did long ago, tries to get one of the children on their side so that the child can take sides within the parent's argument. And then the parent feels like they have power, but the child also feels like they have power. There's a legal show called Judge Judy. Uh, I like legalism and all that jazz, if you know anything about me. And sometimes there are cases where the child is using the parents' divide, the parents' imperfections to gain power in that household, in that family. And it's very dark and it's very wrong, but it comes from a very dark place. Now, with true parents, it's a little different because we actually believe and have faith that after 53 years, they did achieve Chanukah. But we were alive when not everything was perfect. Things weren't carried out perfectly, Mother said. It was a wilderness course. We didn't have a Christian foundation. We didn't really understand the only begotten daughter. But are we, as unificationists, as people that are trying to be mature children to our true parents, to our heavenly parent, going to use whatever things were in the past to blame true parents? Oh, this, that, and the other thing, so I'm out of here. Or are we going to divide our parents and take sides where we're like, oh, I don't know what mother's saying, so you know, you know, she's not my true mother. I stand with true father, or I don't understand what a true father. I'm standing with true mother. It's like that is immature behavior, at a very high level. And we can't do that. We can't do that as true parents' children. We can't do that because then we're dividing our true parents. We don't want to do that, I'm sure. The best thing to do is to, well, as all religious people do, have faith, even if we don't fully understand. Even if we don't fully understand what our true mother's saying, even if we don't fully understand our true father, even if we don't fully understand, as people seeking to be their children, we need to have a little faith that after 53 years of physical marriage, true parents became the first people to achieve Chanuguk. I would prompt you again for a round of applause because that's pretty amazing. And true parents deserve our support and our love as mature children, or at least the highest degree to which we can be mature children because we are all growing. And so I hope by understanding what Chanuguk means, we can understand that it originated first from Chupin's couple, and that that is our model as people who are striving to be citizens of Chanuguk, who are striving to be children of our true parents and heavenly parent. And that model means that even if we mess up in our own marriage, even if I mess up in my future marriage, if I say something to my spouse I shouldn't have, I'm not fully understanding her, or what, who knows what'll come up? I don't know. That at the end of that marriage, I can have faith that I can say at the end, God, even though we struggled at times, my wife and I, we achieved the ideal of Chanukah and helped spread it across this world so that God can directly dwell with all of his children at long last. Thank you so much for listening.